Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what has happened to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, my thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts every single day the market is open, as the market is trading throughout the trading day itself, every single day. With my members, of course, in my YouTube membership. That link is down below in the description of the video. Had a lot of people sign up in the last couple of weeks, actually, especially on the NVIDIA tier. So if you're interested, the link is below for just $3, where again, I share my thoughts with my members every day, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks, or for the $5 tier, you get everything in the first tier, of course, plus NVIDIA daily updates if you're interested. We're above 500 members now, so that's, very nice. I appreciate that. But yeah, let's just jump into it. Tesla closing the day with a pretty respectable 6% on the day almost, closing at, we'll just say $356 per share, which obviously compared to the market, you can see here, is pretty good, pretty decent outperformance on the compared to the market. So what does this actually mean moving forward for Tesla stock? Well, Tesla stock feels, how do I say this? It feels like this bounce was too easy. The read, I think the read is easy. I'm gonna tell you what I honestly think has a chance of happening. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not saying it's for sure going to happen. But if I were to look into my crystal ball, I'll give you what I think over the next, the course of the next 2, 3, maybe month, like 2 weeks to a month, something like that. What I think has a potential of happening moving forward. So yeah, let's talk about it. So if I haven't mentioned already, I'm not a financial advisor, just in case I haven't mentioned that, and this is not financial advice. Now, so Tesla, right? So beautiful bounce, right? So essentially, I know this looks a little messy. There's probably like a million things on the screen. You're like, what? How does this guy even read a chart that looks like this? What the fuck is this, right? It looks a little messy because I have both my bands on, right? That's kind of why. I kind of like keeping both of them on, even though it looks messy. I'm just kind of used to looking at it because I mainly trade off bands and RSI. That's probably my main two indicators. But anyways, so we had that nice little bottoming time situation yesterday. We had that inside day candle and we broke above it. We broke above, what's it called? This is what I was telling my members, right? We broke above 350 to 347, this area right here on this candle, a nice little bit of an increased volume, came back in, retest that area, turned both bands back into green on the 1 hour chart. And now, of course, we're looking pretty good. And I actually do expect continuation as early as tomorrow on Tesla stock, closer to, will be about 370 roughly, right? 370, maybe even as high as 380, but probably somewhere in the 370s, I would guess. I don't know if it'll go there tomorrow, obviously. I'm not saying tomorrow it'll go to 370, but, I wouldn't be surprised if, honestly, probably by next week, sometime next week, could be early next week, could be middle next week, could be end of next week. I don't know. But with the volatility, probably early next week. Yeah, somewhere in the 370s. That is going to be my main target to the upside. What is that target and why is that a target? Well, number one, it is, of course, going to be essentially an actual true retest of this massive breakdown that we had. Came back down, got extremely oversold. Everyone got scared. And then we ended up rocketing pretty aggressively from that bottom. Everyone was telling me this candle was bearish yesterday. I don't know why. It's not really bearish. And yeah, we had a beautiful rocket. So now, this would be just essentially a simple retest, right? A simple retest right into that kind of 370s-ish, of course, zone. But there's a reason that zone is important. And the reason that zone is important is because if it happens, let's say sometime by, I don't know, let's say Tuesday next week, that mean reversion will slowly make its way down on the daily, pretty much right into that zone. And we most likely will just come right back up into it and test it, which is going to be pretty crucial. And we are, of course, so far bouncing pretty well off of this weekly market bias, which is also good. And if we do close tomorrow on a green day, there's a chance we print a beautiful looking hammer candle, which could be a pretty powerful reversal. But there are some contingencies with this, right? So what are the contingencies? Well, first and foremost, Tesla, at the very least, like at the bare minimum, needs to break above that 370s to about 380 per share. Like we need to break back above that, and not only break above that, but close and hold above that, right? It's very important that we close and hold above that, because you always get fake breakouts. Like the most recent fake breakdown, breakdown doesn't matter. I saw was Nike. Like, look at this, right? For instance, Nike, massive sell-off, right? Clearly this area is a massive area of demand, right? Clearly we've bounced off Nike here many times in the past, right? Here several times, did it again here, and whatever, right? I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can see how this candle, this one red candle, broke down well below those, and it closed at the bottom, and it's like, wow, that doesn't look very good. Just to pretty much be like, yeah, never mind. It was a bait. It's okay. We're back up. We're good. Hey, we're good. Nothing happened, right? Nice little fake breakdown there. So the point I'm just trying to make is the fact that you want to continue holding So if we do break above this zone and start closing candles, above, let's say 380, we want to continue doing that. We don't want to just do that like one candle, everyone gets excited, and then we just resell back down. Essentially the opposite of what Nike just did, right? So that's why we want to be careful with these things that the market loves. It loves doing these fake outs, right? I feel like it's been doing them more and more recently. The more, the more I look at it, the more it's been doing it. So watch for that, I guess is just what I'm saying. Now, so I do want to see how tomorrow closes, right? I do want to see how what kind of weekly candle we get. Do we get that beautiful hammer candle on the weekly? Great. But again, with that, we still want to break above these levels. And ultimately, I still want to see essentially a break of about closer to 390 as the ultimate level to break. Why is that? Because that will, of course, break above the market bias / mean reversion. That'll be up back on the upper half of the side, which is good, right? That is going to be a good sign. But the main reason is because, well, this trend line that has resisted us essentially from the actual all-time highs here, and potentially we could get another one right here. Like we can easily come up to it and get a massive rejection, right? So we want to, if you really want Tesla to make its way back, meaningfully higher, not just like, back up to these areas to retest them, but like I'm saying, like, the potentially even retesting all-time highs or making even fresh all-time highs or any of that conversation really to be had. Yeah, we want to pretty much go ahead and make get a break above, again, about that 390 roughly. That's very, very important that happens, right? So that's kind of my main thing I'll be looking for right now. Now, the good news is the fact that the stochastic is actually on the verge of crossing, but the thing with the stochastic is, especially this one, it's strong, but it is kind of slow, honestly. Like, for instance, right, let's use an example, right? For instance, back here, when we had this massive sell-off initially, the stochastic, you can see, started curling up and then it crossed bullish pretty much right on like these two candles here. And it did get a bit of a rally. So, I still expect a bit of a rally. I still think we'll go a little bit higher from here. Don't get me wrong. But if you're strictly falling off the stochastic, you would have been very much, in the L here, right? You would have been taking a pretty big L here because you probably would have bought like somewhere around, this kind of $400-ish per share, and it's crossed bullish, and then it started coming back down, and you're like, nah, but it's fine, it's still crossed bullish, and then ultimately it crossed back to being bearish. So I guess you technically would have sold right here for pretty much break even. But the point is the fact that just because it crosses bullish, it doesn't mean that it's gonna stay bullish for that long either. Like, it's not perfect, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And ultimately what really comes down to is just actually looking at the actual levels themselves, right? That's nothing ultimately beats just strictly looking at the actual levels, horizontal resistance, supports, and even sometimes, the trend lines, etc., like channels, etc., right? That ultimately is the best way, right? Indicators can always be lagging, and this definitely can have that effect. So just watch out for that. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. It's curling. It's looking to cross, but it's not perfect. It's by no means perfect. So just watch out for that. Yeah, so anyways, that's kind of what I envision, right? I do think we're going to get potentially a bit more of a push up. I don't know, maybe as early as tomorrow, sometime early next week or whatever. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll be surprised if it takes longer than the end of next week, back into about 370s, maybe even 380s. Best case scenario is 390, but we want to break 390, plain and simple. And that's going to be essentially, a move back to 370s will be that mean reversion essentially is complete on the 4-hour and of course the daily chart. 4 hours is actually almost already done. That's pretty much close to, it'll be like mid 360s by tomorrow probably. But yeah, 370 mean reversion will be complete on the daily chart as well. And that's one of my favorite trading strategies. I like trading mean reversion strategies on stocks that are sold off way too aggressively and they revert back up into the mean on good stocks. Obviously, it's not going to work on every single stock. Let me just show you an example for fun. I just kind of saw this one today, and I just think it's hilarious that this strategy isn't necessarily perfect, right? Because, yeah, it still bounces on these, things here, but if you zoom out on the weekly, you can see, look at this thing, man. You've been buying this dip for the past 3 years, so it's not perfect. So you have to make sure you do it on good stocks, not some random stocks that are not good. Anyway, so what do I see actually moving forward? So like I said, there's something that I potentially envision moving forward, right? And that's going to be obviously that's going to hinge on the fact that we do get a rejection from here, right? So as long as we essentially remain pretty much honestly below like through like mid to high 380s, closer to 390, essentially below this trend line. Again, this trend line is descending, so that naturally that level to break will naturally decrease with each passing day, technically speaking, right? Ever so slightly. So the thing I'll be looking for is, as long as we continue remaining below this, right? We are technically speaking in a descending channel, so I would expect us to continue descending, and that's exactly what I would expect as well. We make a move back up, get somewhere around here, sometime, maybe even tomorrow, but probably early next week. And then we can get a potential massive rejection, retest this area, and it's confirmed true resistance. And then there is a damn good chance that we actually make our way all the way back down for a true test of the bottom end of this potential channel that we are in, which is essentially this channel. All I did was essentially, I took this line here that has clearly shown, effective resistance. And all I did was take it and copy paste it, right? Take it, copy paste it, attach it to the recent low that we had over here. You can, I mean, because like, see, you wouldn't put it here because it wouldn't make sense, and then you're invalidating here. So you'd obviously want to take it to this low here. Nothing gets invalidated, right? It kind of touches these candles up here too. But this is a potential channel, right? And obviously some people can argue the fact that, well, what if it's like this instead? I mean, it could be like this instead. And even if it is like this, you know, we can still arguably go like this, right? Back to like low 300s. So whichever one it is, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. But the point is the fact that the thesis is still similar in the sense that there is a chance that while we remain in this either descending channel or descending wedge, well, we continue descending. So we make this little nice bull rally here. Everyone's excited. Everyone's like, wow, hey, that was not that bad. That's it. Tesla's bottomed already. Hey, you know what? That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad, right? That was pretty easy. And you know, Tesla stock usually ends up not being that easy most of the time, right? This stock likes to mess with people pretty. It's a special one. Let's just say that it's a very special stock. You know, and then we can get a rejection. We get a massive rejection from here, and we make our way all the way back down either to the bottom of the channel, or if it's actually the wedge, then it'll be closer to the bottom of the wedge to make a lower low. But what that has a chance of actually doing is essentially, you know, making potentially what I'm hoping to see at least is going to be a higher low on the RSI. So while we essentially make pretty much what ultimately will be a lower low on the stock, the RSI essentially makes a higher low, especially on like a daily time frame will be the ideal, but at least 4 hour. And that would be very bullish. And that to me will be, you know, very, very bullish. I think that will signify that the bottom is in. And that's where I personally will be very confident that, you know, we're probably bottomed out, right? Tesla's actually probably bottomed out at this point, because this bottom here, I'm not fully convinced yet. I'll only be convinced that this is like the bottom if we break above, again, this trend line up to the top side, which again, if it happens early next week, will be somewhere pretty much 390 roughly. I think that's pretty much it, right? I mean, not to make it too complicated. Now, again, if there's one thing that can potentially give us an early signal that, you know what, maybe we will break this one a little bit early. Maybe we will, you know, maybe we will. It would be a weekly candle closure tomorrow that looks like a hammer candle. If we get a hammer closure tomorrow, especially if we close higher on the week than we did, than we closed last week. So essentially last week closed at 361.62. So essentially if we close above 361.62 with the hammer candle, which it would be at that point, that actually would be very nice to see. That would be bullish. That could give us an early sign that maybe we won't get this rejection and make our way down. Maybe we actually just break right through it, and maybe the trend line was ultimately this the whole time. That is a potential. That is a possibility. So let's see how the week closes tomorrow, right? I'm not sure yet, but if I had to just put my mind into the mind of the market makers, if I had to just like channel, like, man, you know, if I was them and I just really wanted to just screw with as many people as possible and just really make people like panic and freak out and trap everyone, and, you know, trap the bulls and the bears and whatever, this would be the move. This would be the move. But let's see. I'm not a market maker. I don't know for sure. I can't read minds. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. But just don't be surprised if something like this potentially does actually ultimately end up happening. And I think this would be the trappiest of traps. So this would trap a lot of bulls here. This would trap a lot of bears here. The bulls that bought here will most likely start panic selling here, especially if we dip our toes. Like if people start seeing a 2 in front of Tesla, I think a lot of panic will start happening on Tesla stock. I think a lot of people, especially the people that might be FOMOing now slowly into the stock here, you know, they'll start getting worried. And, you know, again, that's just, if I had to think of an evil way for this stock to, you know, make an actual bottoming process, you know, that would be it, right? That would be it. So let's see. I mean, again, I'm not perfect. I don't know for sure, but if I had to take a guess, it would look something like that. Now, if I bring out the bands here, let me take a look how these bands look like. Yeah, that would actually come back down closer to the bottom end of the bands, which would be a phenomenal buying opportunity if we actually get that. I'm not saying we will. I don't know. But if we do get that, man, this right here would be like one of the best opportunities in the market at that moment in time, of course. But yeah, anyways, taking a look at options flow on Tesla stock, let's take a look and see what's happening. A lot of bullish flow throughout the day. A lot of bullish flow coming in for tomorrow, actually, for 352s, as you can see here. So 360 even. So clearly some people are expecting a bit of a more further push into the 360s. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we do enter the 360s tomorrow. That genuinely wouldn't shock me. I do think that there's still more room to the upside on the short term, right? I don't think we're done just yet. We had that nice breakout today. We closed above 350. There's a lot of positive signs on Tesla stock short term, you know, for the next few days, I would say, that does signal the fact that, you know, there's no reason for it not to push up a little bit higher, you know, maybe like 10 more points or something like that, right? Maybe 15 more points to the upside, you know, something like that. There's no reason that it shouldn't. Let's see if it actually does over the next few days. But yeah, that's kind of my overall thought process and analysis on Tesla. So let me know what you think down below. Yeah, hey, that's just, sometimes it could be that simple. And that's just what I see. And that's how, yeah, that's how it is. So thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.